Today I want to talk about one thing. There's no shame in my game. Let's go. This is how many first teachers roll, and as a matter of fact, it's how many teachers roll. They stay in the room all day, up to their neck or above and work and just plugging away at it, dealing with students in their own classroom and keeping to themselves. They don't ask questions, they really try and play it safe, and they have this sense that I'm not gonna do anything too crazy or really be who I am until I kind of figure out the school first, or I get a sense of like who I'm working with and where I am.
Oh, I certainly don't want to step on your toes.
Maybe in 3 years and a day, when I get tenure, then I'll really come alive. And that makes about as much sense as dating someone for 3 years and a day and then deciding to be yourself, because then you just look like a psychopath because you were, pretending to be something else for the first 3 years of your relationship.
I feel like I don't even know who you are anymore.
That probably gets weird. I've never dealt with that, but I would assume it's got to get a little crazy and be frustrating. You said you like sushi. I've been eating that stuff for 3 years. Now you tell me you don't eat sushi.
I thought you liked sushi.
Sushi!
I don't dog anyone for this. It's something I did. This is something that, like, when I started teaching, I had this sense, I talk about this in my book, Teach Your Class Off. I had this sense that I wasn't sure where I was teaching. I wasn't sure who the kids were that I was teaching. I wasn't sure who the other people were. And so I went into it with a very sort of prescriptive way. I did the whole don't smile till November, don't smile till Christmas routine. Lesson plans were very clear. We're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this, because I think that this is a good lesson. But I didn't think about like who my kids were, or where they were coming from, what they might actually be interested in. So I didn't incorporate those things at first because that was too nerve-wracking to me. It was too loose. What I wanted to do was actually just show up, do a good job, and then as I figured things out, I figured I would loosen up. But instead, I think there are 3 questions that you could ask yourself. One is sitting down and literally writing or typing this out. Who are you?
Who am I?
Are you someone that's funny? Are you someone that's organized? Are you someone that's serious? Do you really take school seriously and you think that's not a laughing matter? Are you someone that is very empathetic or sympathetic? Are you someone that can be trusted? Are you someone that is a little weird?
Look who's talking.
I'm not saying a man with a giant wooden hand on a stick is weird, but might be. I've heard that from some people before. How do you talk? How do you walk? What do you listen to? What excites you? What gets you pumped? Why are you in education? Who are you at your core? And it's actually important to write those things out, not to just think them, because things become real when they hit the page, whether that's a page on a Google Doc or a page on a legal pad. Those things become real. So thinking about who you are. Then second question, who do you want to be? So as an educator or as a person at large, who do you want to be?
I want to be rich.
Maybe think about someone that inspired you to get into education. It could be a book, could be a movie, could be a real life person, but who inspired you? And then what kind of class did they have? What kind of person were they that you saw that inspired you to do so? When you were dreaming about becoming a teacher, what kind of classroom did you dream you'd create, right? And maybe that's the look of your classroom. Maybe that is the feel that students would have when they walked in. Like, what did it smell like? What did it look like? What did it sound like? Maybe that was just the person you were gonna be, the person you were gonna show up to be, knowing that when students came in, you were attentive, you gave your undivided attention to kids. Who inspired you, and what was kind of your dream as to what your classroom would look like, feel like, and be like when it became real life? You could also think about what kind of change did you want to make? And also, what kind of community member did you want to be, right? So like teaching is a communal activity, we think here at Rap With Reynolds. It is not something that just one person does. It is not something that you go it alone. This is something that requires a community. It requires relationships with administration and with other teachers and with parents and other people in your community at large, or other people in the global community, which is why we have things like the Real Rap With Reynolds Teacher Talk on Facebook, which is a group for folks like us, like people like us do things like this, Seth Godin says. So we created a Facebook group to help you connect with folks. But like, what kind of partner did you want to be in the community? So just sitting with some of these questions and thinking about them can really help you get in touch with, oh yeah, who did I want to be as an educator? And then my third question is, who are you needed to be? Now look, I'm not even sure that's correct English, and I'm an English teacher, but I never wrote that sentence before, so it's new to me. But who are you needed to be, like in the Reese's commercials? There's no one way to eat a Reese's.
How Australian Mick Burke eats a Reese's peanut butter cup.
G'day. I eat a little bit now. I'll come back for the rest later.
There's no one way to teach. Every year presents new challenges, and students are different. What your kids liked last year, they might not like this year. What everyone thought was funny last year might not work this year. The class trip, the speaker that came in, the lesson that you did that was so great before might not work. So what you're doing is thinking about who's needed this year. Plus, there could be any number of events that happened this year that students didn't go through last year. Maybe someone lost someone in their family. Maybe somebody was put into foster care or they got adopted this year. And so when you are helping students navigate a lot of these spaces, you have to think about, who do I need to be this year to be there for my students? Because we can only teach kids we know, and kids will only care if we care first. And so meeting kids where they are and helping them up to where they need to be can only be done if we really have a sense of who we need to be this year. If you're struggling with that, or if you don't really know your students yet, there's a couple of things you can think about. One is, who's the teacher that you needed when you were that age? So I teach 9th grade, so I'm teaching 14-year-olds at an all-boys school. What did I need when I was 14? There's a very real reason that I teach this age. When I was 14, I didn't think my voice mattered. I didn't think my opinion mattered. I didn't talk for almost an entire year in school. I went to maybe one of the worst high schools in South Jersey, meaning the most violent high schools in South Jersey. I never went to the bathroom, and my school was so rough that the bathroom didn't have stall doors, and there was metal on all of the windows on the bottom portion because kids got pushed through them all the time, and there were no mirrors in the bathrooms. And so I was terrified to go to the bathroom.
Wow. Prison sounds horrible.
Terrified to share anything because I was afraid someone was going to crush me for what I thought was real or right, because I was, I've always been a little left of center. But for me, no one ever saw me. I was invisible in high school. I could have just stopped coming to school and nobody would have noticed when I was in 9th grade. Even if that's not completely true, that's how I felt. And the reality of the world is, if you think that it's true, whatever your perception is, it might as well be real. If you think nobody cares about you, it might as well be real. So for me, it is about finding kids that think they're invisible and letting them know that they're visible. Finding kids that think that no one cares about them or sees them, or that they're not represented, and trying to help them see that they are, and then trying to create places and spaces and activities and moments in which those kids are elevated, or at least have a spotlight, or at least feel a part of what's happening. And so, who are you teaching this year that when you think about who you needed to be, that you could be there for that particular child? The question that goes with that to ask yourself is, what kind of teacher did you want when you were a kid? I got to ask this in a podcast the other day. I got to ask this question: who was I inspired by to become a teacher? I've never had a real life teacher that made me want to be a teacher. Now, since becoming a teacher, I've met tons and tons of educators and principals and vice principals that I just look at them man, where were you when I was a kid? I wish I had you as a teacher. But in real life, I just never had that. So who did you want when you were younger? Did you want someone that was fun? Did you want someone that was silly? Did you want someone that had uber patience and never got tired of explaining something to you because they knew that you were trying to unlock and unpack a particular concept, idea, or lesson, and that just took time for you to get it? Did you want someone that would go above and beyond for you? Did you want someone that would plan amazing trips, that would create learning experiences for you? Did you want someone whose classroom was filled with surprises, or love, or consistency, or kindness, or attention? So it is trying to think about, who did I need? Because chances are your students, they might not tell you, they might not even show you, but a lot of those same things are the same things that your students need now in this year that you needed all those years ago when you were their age. Let me give you an example. I don't just want this to be in theory, but when I think about myself, when I think about what kind of teacher do I want to be, or do I aspire to be? And look, I'm going to tell you on the front end, I know I'm on YouTube and on social media, but I'm not always the teacher that I want to be. There are days that I come home that I feel I fell very, very short, that I was too short with a child, that I didn't give enough time, that I handled something poorly, I didn't carry the energy, or I didn't have the excitement that I wanted to have. I definitely feel that during a lot of the year. There are things like when someone quits, when a kid, something happens to a student, when I just have a bad interaction with a parent. This stuff happens to me too. But when I think about what kind of teacher I want to be someone that loves their job. And I want that love of my job to not just be something that I know, but I want it to like emanate from me. I want people to know that when I walk in the building, I want to be there, that I'm excited about this work, that I'm so pumped that you came to school today. There is someone, her name is Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor, who said, and I'm going to slightly misquote her, but she said essentially that you are responsible for the energy you bring into every room. And so when you go into the teacher's lounge, when you walk into the office, when you walk into your classroom, when you're walking through the parking lot at the end of the day and kids are saying hello to you, you are responsible for the energy you bring into that room. So some people are going to bring very negative, pessimistic, self-defeating behavior and energy into a room.
Stupid, boring meeting. I don't even want to be here.
And so when you walk into a room and you bring love with you, when you bring light with you, when you bring optimism with you, when you bring silliness with you, or fun with you, or empathy with you, these are things that make the room better. And so you are responsible for the energy that you bring into a room. I want to be someone that is willing to take risks. I'm willing to fail quickly, meaning like I don't want a long, slow death of a project or a lesson or an interaction. I want to like fail quickly, and then I want to be able to pivot. I am not, and this is absolutely true, I'm not afraid rather to fail publicly. I just have grown out of that. It is something that I used to be like, oh my gosh, what if this is a nightmare? I operate at such a speed and such a pace that failure is inevitable sometimes, but like I'll be driving to school and think, oh, you know, it'd be really fun today or really great. You know, like we were gonna do this lesson, but what if we did it like this? The kids all know this could be a flaming dumpster fire of disaster, but it's all right. We're gonna try something, and this is what it looks like to try. This is what it looks like to fail in public and fall on your face. You know, I grew up skateboarding, and so when you skateboard, you fail like 90% of the time. Like 90% of the time that you're trying to do a trick, you're failing and failing and failing and failing and getting hurt, and then that's what makes it so like amazingly awesome the time that you nail the trick. That's why everyone goes nuts when you watch videos of it. It's because it's like, man, that is sick that I did it.
Yes, Chris, yes.
I want to be able to fail openly and often, and then just be able to pivot and go forward with what I'm doing. I want to be able to give my undivided attention to students when they come into my room. There's nothing more aggravating to me. This is like a pet peeve that I have. When I go into someone's office or their classroom and they're like working on their computer and I talk to them and they just are going, yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah, so what we can do with that is we will talk about it after school, blah, blah, blah. And they're just not looking at you. Like, bro, like I'm right here. Take a second and stop and look at me. And I used to work for the best principal I ever had in my life, Dr. Tennant. Dr. Tennant would constantly, no matter what he was doing, stop, look at you, and give you his full undivided attention. If he couldn't speak right then, he would ask you to just come back. Like come back in 5 minutes, end of school day, whatever it is, at a time when he could. So if he was on the phone with a parent, he was handling a situation that was really urgent, you would just figure out another time to come and speak to him. But if you walked into his office, the idea was, you're here, I'm gonna give you my attention. And that feels so good. So when students come in, it's stopping what you're doing if you're gonna give them your attention, and then looking at them and just never making them feel rushed. You're not looking at your phone, you're not looking at your watch, you're not looking to see what else is going on in the room. You're dialed in as if this is the only child that matters in the world right now. And I want to be able to be that particular type of teacher. Because with that, what we learn is, and I talk about this all the time, is that we see that when students have problems, we can't fix students, right? We can't fix anyone that doesn't want to be helped. And I'm not sure we can fix anyone anyway. To be honest, we don't always have the right words anyway. So like there are any number of times when a student will share something with me and I don't even know what to say back to that. But what I do know is that my attention is far more important than my advice. Giving someone my undivided attention and just listening to them is sometimes the greatest gift you can ever give a child. In this quick list, the last thing I'm thinking about is I want to be someone that, you know, when you're a kid and you're just watching TV and like the Charlie Brown Christmas special will come on.
How old are you?
You know, I'm really dating myself right now, where like Pink Panther would pop on like on a certain night, and they would always have this thing that would pop up on the screen that would say, this evening we're interrupting our regularly scheduled program. I want to be the interruption of the regularly scheduled program. time, which is why I do all kinds of silly stuff in school. It's why I try and bring fun and joy into rooms, because 90% turns out of what you thought about yesterday is what you're thinking about today. So our kids are walking around with the soundtrack in their head. And to be honest, school's a boring place, man. Like overall, like when you're a teenager, school's not overall exciting.
This is boring.
And so if I can do something to disrupt that programming, it is one of my great joys in life. And so you could do this with friends that you have in school. You could do this with students. And it doesn't have to just be silliness. You can bring someone a cup of coffee. There are many times when I will go out for lunch and I'll buy lunch for students and bring it back to school. That if someone helped me with something, I'll do something for them. Impromptu cereal parties out of nowhere. That instead of getting a slice of pizza, I buy a whole pizza and then I have something to eat with a couple of kids. Or it's weird stuff. Like when I go into people's classrooms and I take out their family pictures and I put a picture of me instead.
You do what?
Because that's just hilarious and it's a really great idea to do to everybody in your life. Just make sure you cite your resources. So look, there's two quotes I'm thinking about to sort of end this video with. I'm gonna read them for you. One of them is from Dr. Wayne Dyer, who was someone who was fundamental to my growth as a young person. Dr. Dyer said, "I have observed that society in general always seems to honor its living conformists and its dead nonconformists." If you think about that, everyone that's dead that was ever a troublemaker, that was ever a problem, we put those people up on a pedestal and say, this is how you should be. But anyone that's alive, that tries to be different, that tries to do their own thing, we're like, why you gotta do that? Why you gotta be different? What are we doing that for? Why are you teaching like that? Why you gotta be outside with the kids in the field and everybody else can see you? Now our kids are complaining we're not out in the field. Why are we giving out fake mustaches?
Don't put on a fake mustache, that's crazy.
And I'm not saying I ever do that, like give out fake mustaches, but I do, and I will say that, all right, I do. And I get crap from other people. But like being you, who you really are out loud, no shame in my game, because I'm trying to be awesome for kids and we can do this together. I'm not trying to be the only awesome one, because no one likes to go to a party by themselves. You know, you're gonna end up like Billy Idol, dancing with yourself. I'd rather dance with other people. And so find those partners, build those relationships, and then be who you're meant to be now. And then maybe after you're dead, maybe the message there is they'll talk about you in a positive light. And the last thing is Dr. Abraham Maslow once said, self-actualized individuals, right? People that operate at the highest peak of their capability, right? He said that one of the attributes that they have is they're independent of the good opinion of others. It's not that other people's opinions don't matter. It's just that we operate this way anyway, that you're not afraid to be different. And to be honest with you, if you are weird from the jump, if you don't wait, if you just are who you are, if there's no shame in your game, other people get used to it. You just become the crazy cat lady. Oh yeah, she lives down there on Cedar Avenue, crazy cat lady. It's not something that becomes so different or so weird. So look, gang, that's what I have for you today. I hope that this helps you. If you know someone else that could use this message, please pass it on with them. If there's anything else we can help you with, you can go to realrapwithreynolds.com, find out about speaking, find out about the book, find out about resources, find out about mentoring sessions, all that kind of stuff. Or you can just follow us on social media, all the major social media platforms we are on. And that's it for this week, gang. Let's talk to you soon. Peace.